Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Long. With me, as always, my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How are you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles. We're a little late this week.
We are. It's all my fault.
Yeah, partially.
No, I would say
That's also my fault a little bit, but
mostly just my fault. I'll take it. You get to be orator. I get to be the problem child. That's okay. I'm the loose cannon. You're the stickler for the rules. I'm the loose cannon. That's how this works.
He's the no good, not playing by the rules, dirty cop. You know.
I'm Riggs or Murtaugh. I can't remember which one's the loose cannon. I think it's Riggs. I'm Mel Gibson in that one movie and not in anything else in my life.
Yeah. Well, except for that other thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Jesus.
Likes blue paint.
Do you have a pitch for us this week? No.
I do, but you also have one.
I have a pitch. We're doing a double feature today, folks. And speaking of double features, Jacob had a double feature yesterday. You want to tell us about it a little bit?
I saw Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Ah, Barbenheimer.
I saw Barbenheimer.
He did the meme. He did the thing, folks. I didn't see it. I haven't watched that movie.
No, you haven't, because you don't care about cinema.
No.
No, I don't know. They're both good movies.
Yeah.
Both good movies. I like Oppenheimer more, but Barbie was also very good.
It seems good. I love...
A lot of young girls in hot pink outfits in my theater.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like I shouldn't be in the theater.
That's most theaters you go into, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
You
obviously.
feel like you shouldn't be there.
Like Oppenheimer, a lot of guys in suits at Oppenheimer. I was not in a suit.
Were there actually men in suits?
There was one row of about 6 guys. They were in suits.
That's stupid, but also I love it.
I really liked it. I thought it was fun. One guy had a big overcoat, too. Mm-hmm. It was like 85 degrees.
Yeah, no, that's not... I would not have wanted to do that. I don't care how air-conditioned the movie theater is. No, that sounds horrible. Maybe I'll wear a 3-piece suit when I see Oppenheimer.
You're not going to see it in theaters, I know you.
Yeah.
You'll probably see it in like 10 years and tell me, oh, it was a good movie.
Jay,
It's not good unless you see it in theaters, because it's... Like, I saw it in IMAX, and it is so loud.
Yeah. That cat's gonna knock over your laptop.
That's not good. But anyway, who cares about movies that we saw? We got a beautiful pitch for a TV show.
TV shows you'll never
that
see.
Charlie came up with on a car ride, making someone else dictate for him. So
yes.
That's great.
So there might be a few problems just simply because it's different handwriting. I don't know. Don't blame me. Blame my dictation. Is that what that's called?
That's a weird thing to say, but yeah, I think
dictation. That sounds right.
Your dictee.
Yeah, my dictee.
Your dictator.
I'm the dictator. She's the dictatee.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. And I'm just a regular old dick. So this series is we're doing... I started thinking a lot about American Horror Story Asylum recently. You know that one?
I haven't watched anything related to American Horror Story.
Well, American Horror Story, if you don't know, American Horror Story is an anthology horror show that does a different setting each season with new characters played by the same actors. And season 2 was Asylum, which was set in a 1960s insane asylum, and they basically did all the tropes of all of that, in one.
Okay.
So they did there was a Nazi doctor, and there's the devil, and there's all sorts of crazy shit going on. And I was like, I kind of want to do that, but I don't want to do that exactly. So it's a bit of Shutter Island, a bit of shock and awe, and we are going to be doing a lot of the tropes of an insane asylum kind of series or movie, but with just a little bit of a twist. So we've got our main character. What's her name? Oh God, Henrietta Boethia.
Wow, you got a lot of Henriettas.
Yeah.
That is by far the most overused character name you've had.
I love Henrietta. I think it's a good name.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. Henrietta is a new doctor at this insane asylum, and we're not putting it in the 50s. It's going to be in sort of a pseudo Lost in Time situation. Okay. It's going to be 50s-esque. I would say it probably takes place somewhere in the 80s if we're going by the amount of technology. So there's no cell phones, nobody's walking around with a computer in their pocket, but international, communication does exist, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So, yeah. Henrietta is working. She's just been hired on as a new doctor at the Hargrove Institute for the criminally insane. And there she's, just cutting her teeth as a brand new doctor. And there's going to be a few other characters.
That's good. I'm glad there's a few other characters.
There's a few characters in the show, not just the main character.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's revolutionary, really. I mean, honestly. Haven't seen anything like that before.
So she's going to have her little sidekick, Buddy, right? And he's going to be, what's his name?
Buddy?
Buddy, yeah. Let's call him Buddy.
What's his actual name?
I had it written down here, but like I said...
Oh, you dictated.
Yes.
And you didn't look over your notes at all before this, so you have absolutely no preparation.
No, I have preparation. It's all right here.
Well,
it's all right here.
Okay, we'll call him Buddy, because that's a good name.
It is a good name, because he's going to be like a little spinstery, little skinny
Spinstery?
guy. Yeah.
I don't think you know what that means.
No, a spinster is an old divorced woman.
That's what he is?
Yes. He's got the attitude of like an older lady, you know?
Okay.
And he's kind of a snarky, funny nurse guy. And he's also just started. So that's how he and Henrietta bond. And she's technically his boss, but she's... they share the gossip. They talk trash to one another about the whole other hospital, right? And then there's her rival, her chief rival. Let's call him Zachary Levi.
Oh, I don't think we could do that.
No,
Zachary Gallif.
Yeah.
Zachary George.
Oh, rival. Dr. Hugh Length.
Oh, you just made up a name.
No, it says
No,
right...
you said Zachary Levi.
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually...
Dr. Huey Length.
Huey Length.
Huey Length.
Is that a joke?
It sounds like it's a joke.
It's almost a joke, but it's
almost
not.
a joke. And his...
I'm actually huge length. Huey Length.
Huey Length, yeah.
Yeah, so that is a joke. It's a good one for the kids today.
Yeah, exactly. They'll get it. They'll...
Hugh Length? Huge length?
Yes. And he's
so
he's also a new doctor, but his father is the head of a pharmaceutical corporation that works very tightly with the Hargrove Institute. Yes, exactly. Richard Length.
Also known to his friends as Dr. Dick Length.
Dr. Dick Length. Yeah. This is like a horror show. It's not even meant to be funny, but yes, Dr. Dick Length is a close confidant of the board of directors of the Hargrove Institute.
What's his actual name?
Well, I think it's
Richard should be his real first name. But
I think so. Length maybe isn't a good. I remember
you could stick with it, but just never act. Well, if you don't want it to be funny, you could just never actually mention that. Like that people call him, like no one would ever call him like Dick Length. They would never put those together. Like people might call him Dick at some points.
Yeah.
Or like, they might have written down that his name's Richard Length, but they'll never connect those dots. Let the audience do that for themselves at some point.
Well, he's going to have a business cards everywhere. It's going to be like, Length Pharmaceuticals. We'll go the extra length for you.
It could also be spelled differently. So that, but pronounced like that.
But there's a PH.
Length.
Yeah, length. Because I remember...
Length. Yeah, I like that.
I wanted his name to be similar to... Because I've just watched the new Batman animated movie, The Doom That Came to Gotham, which was a Lovecraftian horror thing. And Langstrom.
Kirk Langstrom is the Man-Bat. That's not an addition.
Yeah.
That's already existed.
No, I know, but he's one of the main characters.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted the name to be similar to Langstrom, but I didn't want to take it.
So you weren't trying to make jokes?
No, I wasn't trying to make a joke. It just came out that way. Okay. That his name was Huey Length.
Huey Langstrom.
Yes, sorry, I'm drinking iced coffee, everyone.
Would have been fine. I could have cut that out,
No, but
now I gotta leave it in, because I gotta know.
Jake can also have some iced coffee if he wants it.
You pour it in on top of my water if you want.
Yeah. Do you want any?
Sure.
Okay, here. You
gotta do it right next to the microphone. So
okay.
Hear it right here.
So Length Pharmaceuticals is a pharmaceutical corporation that works closely with the Hargrove Institute testing new experimental drugs for those people affected by their psychological problems. Schizophrenia, multiple personality syndrome, severe narcissism, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah. All stuff we're very familiar with.
Yeah, the things that everything that's in our psych evaluations.
Yep.
We trade them back and forth. We read them to one another.
We also diagnose each other, so we don't know how accurate it is.
We're very good. That's that narcissism talking.
Yeah. Well, we don't need therapists because we are therapists.
Well, they're just gonna steal your money.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, exactly.
What qualifications do you really need? What do they have that we don't already have?
Yeah, a white
Doctorate?
coat. I have a white coat. It's panda leather.
A piece of paper? I can make a piece of paper.
It's not that. I got a whole book of them right here. So yeah, her rival, Huey Length, he's a doctor. He wants to help people, but he's kind of at the Hargrove Institute. It was more of a favor to his father than based off of his own qualifications.
Oh.
He's not bad per se, but he's a middling doctor who is able to use his family's, vast resources and wealth to kind of get into the Hargrove Institute. But this will leave an initial, perspective on Henrietta that this guy, Dr. Length, is a total, nepo baby. Absolutely.
Yeah. So he's not actually completely unqualified.
No,
he has the qualifications, just he's not spectacular.
Yeah,
anyway.
Henrietta is a genius, and Dr. Length is just, he's a doctor.
He finished.
He finished. He's got the.
He didn't fail.
C's get degrees, as they say.
Got a couple of B's, maybe one A.
Exactly. Yeah, and then our final character, of the main cast will be the boss, the man who's in charge of the hospital.
Yep.
And I haven't really talked about the architecture of the hospital just yet.
Let me guess. Really gothic. Looks like Arkham Asylum.
Well, it's going to be split into two separate facilities.
Oh.
So there's the new facility that's very angular, it's very modern, cubist, minimalist architecture, and that's where all of the really high-profile patients go, because this is a criminal insane asylum.
Yeah.
So, when somebody does an a Gotham City style crime, they get sent here.
Like a
big
Ted Bundy would go there.
Exactly. Right? And he would go into the nice cells because that's where they want all the interviews to be taking place.
Oh, I see. Okay. So they can get their documentaries and stuff.
Exactly. But
probably got a whole media department. That's where I want to work. I want to work in the media department.
At the insane asylum? That sounds awesome.
Sounds great. You do all the interviews.
That's a better show.
That's a good idea. We should keep that.
Yeah, we'll put that on the side. PR and media department of an insane asylum. All right, that's next 10 episodes. Yeah. But yeah, that's the new side of the building, new side of the institute that's really pretty and really high tech and everything.
Yeah.
But the new doctors, the less important patients, they all get put into the old side of the institute, which is this classic Gothic architecture.
That's like gargoyles.
Yeah, the paint's chipping off the walls. It's really not a nice place.
Your office it's just like a cell room.
Exactly.
It's like where the prisoners used to be, but now they've changed it into an office because they don't have enough room.
Yeah, exactly. There's the big drain in the bottom in the floor. Because
everybody's got buckets. There's buckets everywhere covering for leaks and stuff.
Yeah, there's a portion of the building that's just constantly being under repair or shut down for water damage, and it just changes every couple of weeks. They finally fix up one piece of water damage, and then they have to immediately go next door to another piece of water damage.
It's the same guy that's always fixing it.
Yeah, and he's just he's a real red herring, this guy. He's a real creep. He looks like a Scooby-Doo villain, but he's not actually a bad guy.
Nothing about him is really that bad.
No.
Likes opera.
And the man who is in charge of both wings, but most of his time is dedicated towards the older wing, because the newer wing is constantly, being filled up. It's where all the meeting rooms are, all the board rooms, so you get shareholders and people who own, portions of the hospital or donated. They're always there. This guy, he doesn't like that shit. He's a simple old-timey sort of a doctor. He's interested in helping his patients, and that's Chief Brennan. He doesn't have a full name.
Doesn't have a doctorate?
No, he's got a doctorate, but he's the chief of doctors, so everyone just calls him Chief. Chief Brennan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's, he's a bit of a cynic. He's very experienced, and he's got a dark past that relates very deeply to the Hargrove Institute.
Yeah.
But he's been doing this forever. He's someone that you throughout the series will learn to trust, admire, respect.
He did it. I don't know what anyone did, but he did it.
Nobody's done anything yet.
I can see in his eyes that he did it.
he might have done something. Who knows? But that's kind of our setup. You got the Hargrove Institute. You have our characters. The nurse. I have Nurse Jeremiah. That's his name.
Jeremiah.
Huey Long, Dr. Henrietta, and Chief. These are our main characters.
And Jeremiah.
I said Jeremiah. I love a biblical name. I don't know if you know that, but I adore biblical names.
Are you jealous? Is that why?
I wanted
because your name's Charlie and my name's Jake.
I wanted to be named Ezekiel so bad.
Well, Jake's a biblical name.
It is.
Well, I guess Jacob is.
Yeah. And Jacob's short for Jake, right?
Yep, Jacob is short for Jake. Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that.
So this is it's a murder mystery show. That's what we're doing. Henrietta gets into this new hospital and she's surprised and excited. She gets on to the new campus. Maybe the first episode, the pilot, can be her job interview, followed up shortly behind her getting the job. And the job interview takes place in the new beautiful section of the building where there's cutting edge state-of-the-art facilities and art therapy and all this stuff. And she's like, I'll take the job. I'm so excited.
Probably texts her friend on the phone being like, oh my god, it's so nice.
Or calls her mom and is like,
yeah, the place is so nice, so cool. I'll get to work with all these great doctors
and lunatics, and it's awesome. And then she gets the job and she moves into the old horrible
gets
section.
the address and she's like, this can't be right. And the security guy's like, no, you gotta keep going down. Your parking spot's on the other side.
Turn right. There's gonna be a dead raccoon. All right, park behind that.
Yeah, it's a left at the dead deer, right at the dead raccoon, behind the dumpster.
Yeah, and there you are.
Other side of the haunted forest. She's like, haunted forest? It's just a sign.
Yeah.
Used to be a golf course.
It's fine. Don't worry about it. We make it into a maze for the kids, during Halloween.
Last year we put one of the serial killers in the maze with them. At least that's what we told them.
We lost a few kids, gained a few patients. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Good. Have a good one, Doc.
Business.
Yeah. Maybe we should have the security guard. He's like a jovial, gallows humor kind of guy.
Yeah.
A
lot of jokes.
Yeah, but he's always just like, I had to, blew a patient's kneecap off.
Yeah.
He was running away.
So I shot him right in the knee.
Bam, bing, bang, boom.
Bang, boom, literally.
Yeah. We show him, the patient, and he's just, in a wheelchair. Both of his kneecaps are gone. I thought you said you shot him in one of his knees. I wanted to even it out.
Thought I missed. Had to double check.
Yeah, duh. Come on. You always got to be sure. Yeah. And so it's a pseudo murder mystery. So deaths keep happening at the older section of the hospital. And Henrietta is like, at first she's like, oh, whatever, it's deaths. That's what it happens. In hospitals, people die. I don't know what you want me to say about it. But the longer she stays in this section of the hospital, the more she feels an uneasy sort of a presence around her, right? Her brain is cloudier. She feels slow, and she looks around and she notices the patients are acting crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazier than the patients in the other side of the building, or the other side of the institute. But the doctors aren't always there. They're a little kooky, they're a little weird, and she's like, oh, well, maybe this is where they put the doctors who are a little, you know what I mean? But then she just can't get rid of this feeling of just a sort of fear that is all encompassing. And so she's like, she tries to push it down. She goes, she meets up with her first patient. This is her patient. This person is her charge, right?
Yeah.
So all the doctors, the new doctors, they're in charge of like checking bedpans and, you know, making sure people's blood work is all good, but they are in charge of one patient.
Yeah.
And that's their person. And this person, her name is Maria. And she has been charged with murdering her entire family.
Same.
And she, yeah, exactly. Jake did it too.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Well, not yet.
No, not yet.
Next week.
His whole podcasting family.
Yep, so just you.
That's just me. Just me and our beautiful listeners.
Yep.
All of them. You gonna get got by Jake.
To show maybe the her being feel like this presence around here.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if we did a lot of shots that were through like you see in a movie sometimes we'll have like a shot through a window like on the other side of the person in the street.
Yeah.
So we can do a lot of shots through like vents and a lot of shots through like on the other side of the cell bars as she's walking past.
Yeah.
It's like that's how we show it. So it's constantly like she's caged or there's like bars going between her.
Yeah.
Where like something feels like it's watching her.
A lot of Dutch angles. We can do a fisheye lens every once in a while. I love a fisheye lens. So Maria, she hasn't been charged. She did. She murdered her entire family. Her, like, 2 kids and her husband.
Oh, so this is like Shutter Island style.
Yeah, she's, nuts. But, you know, so Henrietta's, like, pumping herself up to meet her patient for the first time. She's expecting this absolute lunatic, Silence of the Lambs style. She's, like, throwing shit on the walls and all sorts of stuff. And then she gets in there and there's just this, like, very calm, you know, middle-aged woman smoking a cigarette. And she's just like, this is the crazy person. She has conversation after conversation with her, right? And she, you know, she's diagnosing her and she's like, well, she's definitely a psychopath. You know, she's not all there, but she's not this raving lunatic that everyone seems to think that she is. And so, you know, Henrietta's developing like a sort of a wondering, like, why is this woman, you know, being treated like this? Right? Maybe there's something else. Maybe somebody's, like, got some problem with her outside of her, you know, her murderous tendencies, because
maybe she should be in the other wing of the hospital.
Exactly, but
she's here for some reason.
So she, you know, is curious about that, because this woman seems fairly well adjusted and regular.
Yeah.
And so she's, you know, kind of walking around and sort of getting a feel for the place. And the thing I want to do with this show is have like 3 or 4 separate reasons why there's like a dark malevolence around the hospital.
Yeah.
And each episode is just uncovering clues for each of these separate things.
Okay.
And so my tropes that we're going to be doing is we're going to have a corrupt doctor, we're going to have secret drug testing, we're going to have a gypsy curse. Those are our 3.
Can I guess who the secret or who the corrupt doctor is and who the the secret who's doing the secret drug testing?
Yeah.
Are they previously named characters? Or are they new characters?
No, they're named characters that I've named so far.
The corrupt doctor is Chief. Mm-hmm. And the secret drug testing is the guy that's not really qualified.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a
you
good.
Can reveal it. Don't tell me.
That's
now.
a good theory. That's a good theory. So
those are my guesses.
Yeah. Each episode is going to be Henrietta kind of uncovering different mysteries about this this hospital and about the things that have happened here in the past. And so she's talking to Maria, and Maria, you know, Henrietta's asking, like, Maria, why are you, you know, what's the problem here? Why are you being treated like this? And she says, well, it's that chief. It's the chief. It's the doctor. He fell in love with me. He was my doctor, and he fell in love with me, and I rejected him, and he's locked me up here. He's locked me up here, and he won't let me go. She's saying this stuff. She doesn't sound 100% reasonable.
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy.
It sounds a little bit like she's just coming up with a rule.
So I assume Henrietta like immediately assumes, okay, she's crazy, but
Henrietta thinks she's crazy, but she's also like, well, there is something going on here, because Chief has been standoffish with her. You know, he's standoffish with everyone. But he's been especially, like, uncomfortable that Henrietta's taking over Maria.
Yeah, maybe every time he passes Maria's cell, like, she's the only one he doesn't acknowledge. He acknowledges every other prisoner. And
Yeah.
Maria's food is always worse than everyone else's food. And every time Maria gets her food, it's always smushed and destroyed.
Well, actually, maybe it's the opposite.
Oh, you want to say she's got better treatment?
She gets treated, but like, Chief doesn't talk to her.
Yeah.
But she gets her food's nicer. It's always on time. There's never any lateness. Her drugs are like, maybe she has a slightly lower dosage than everyone else so that she can maintain like a higher level of composure. You know, she gets treated nicely, but Chief is...
Her room is slightly nicer. She's got fresh sheets.
Exactly.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And so all this is happening. Henrietta decides, right, like, oh, this Chief guy, he seems a bit out of the, maybe he's doing something wrong to this woman, but she's also crazy. So I'm just gonna, you know, whatever. I'm gonna take some time off from this. I'm gonna read about the hospital. And so she begins to read about the history of the hospital and all the various, you know, people that have come and gone through here. And then outside there's this screaming woman. And Maria's like, oh, it's just a screaming woman in a insane asylum, whatever. And then it's like, well, it's loud. It's like really loud, like a microphone or you know, one of those things. So she goes out and sees that this woman, this Karen-style character, has formed this sort of picket line around the hospital. And she's like, we need to get rid of this hospital. It's a bane on our community. Their inmates are always escaping and attacking people. You know, it's a filthy, disgusting place full of filthy, disgusting people. Yeah. And this woman's in her, like, I'd say, like, late 40s, early 50s. You know, she's not young. Just keep that in mind. And so Henrietta, obviously very concerned about what's this going on. She goes out, she talks to him. She, you know, begins talking with the protesters and asking them, and apparently they come from the town nearby.
Yeah.
It's next door.
What's the town called?
I don't know. Willowsburg.
I like that name. That's a good name off the top of the head.
Yeah, thank you.
I was trying to trip you up, but
yeah,
you were there. You were ready.
So maybe we see her driving through the town, right? And I think that it is a good idea if we do like match shots too. Her initial like coming in, she drives through the town on this beautiful sunny day. Everyone's really nice. And, you know, as she's driving to do her interview in the big nice building, she drives through the town. It's like this cool hip little college town, almost sort of like Burlington, Vermont, you know?
Okay.
It's not big. It's not got a ton of stuff, but the stuff it does have is nice.
A lot of cute little stores.
Exactly, boutiques, and there's like restaurants.
Probably
and
really
stuff.
Good sandwich place. You get paninis there. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe it's an old train car that's been converted into a sandwich place.
There you go. That's very classic.
They call it
town.
The Caboose.
I was gonna say something.
We should open this place.
Yeah, that sounds good. I was gonna say like the Rolling something.
I stole that, by the way. There's a real sandwich place.
Okay, shit.
We're not clever.
Oh, god damn it. Let's call it the Rolling Hero. The Rolling Sub. And we'll make the train car look like a sub. Like,
there's a lot of things there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sub.
Like
a submarine.
Like a submarine sandwich.
No, like a submarine.
Yeah.
Like the Titanic sub.
Yeah. Like the Titanic, that famous submarine.
No, I said the Titanic sub, if you paid attention.
Oh, yeah.
The Titan, I think that was...
The Titan. Very topical.
Like 4 weeks ago.
So topical.
Yeah.
And so, what was that? Yeah, she was talking with this lady, the head representative of Willowsburg. And she's like, this place is, the patients escape, they come out, they kill people, they're violent, they're animals. They're animals, I tells ya. They're animals.
Yeah.
Gee, they killed my grandmother.
Same.
Yeah. That's what she says.
They also, yeah.
Let's call her Marie Stevenson.
We already have a Maria.
We do.
To be confusing. You call her Patricia
Stevenson. There you go.
Patricia Stevenson, yeah.
So Patricia Stevenson is like this she wants this place destroyed, and she's got the townsfolk on her side. And she mentions to Henrietta that one of the freaks from this asylum killed her grandmother years ago.
Yeah.
She, and her mother was never the same, right? Not after it happened, like it killed her grandmother before she was born. And so it was like a famous family thing. That
feud.
Yeah, exactly.
Back generations.
Exactly. And so Henrietta decides to do a little bit of research in this. And if you can tell, we're laying seeds throughout the beginning of the show to have towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
Right? And so Henrietta, she's being bombarded with information on this first day. She met her patient, who thinks she thinks is a little crazy. She met these protesters who she thinks are definitely crazy. And so she decides, I'm gonna go to sleep. Whatever. She's got her...
Wait, is this all the first episode?
I was thinking it was over the first 2 episodes.
Okay. And are these like hour-long episodes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the first episode, I think, ends with her meeting her patient for the first time. Second episode is her having her conversation with her patient and talking with this lady, walking around the campus a little bit, seeing, some weird stuff, the patient's acting a little bit strange, and it's like, we can put a kind of a lampshade on it that's like, yeah, they're acting strange. Henrietta knows they're acting strange because they're crazy people in an insane asylum, but she's worked in an insane asylum before. It's like, they don't act this way. This is odd, And so she goes to sleep, and while she's asleep, she has these horrific nightmares, absolutely horrible nightmares, just like totally, freaking out. We see things that's like the faces of people that are in the show, and Henrietta is begin to believing that this is kind of prophetic. These dreams are not just dreams, because they're things that are happening in the dreams that she's like, what? So maybe she doesn't start believing they're prophetic now. She wouldn't be a very good scientist if she had one bad dream and was like, that's the future.
Whoa.
But she has these dreams that are strangely prophetic,
Yeah.
And so she, goes and she starts investigating the history of... She wakes up next day. She goes in, she checks in on her patient. Her patient's fine, She's smoking her cigarette. She's never without a cigarette. No one else in that block smokes. That's a good little visual sign that she's being taken care of.
Yeah, she always has cigarettes.
Yeah.
How does she get them?
Nobody knows. And so Henrietta decides, like, my patient, she's fine. She's not sane, but she doesn't deserve to be in this, like, maximum security place where, we treat the worst of the worst. She's
Yeah.
She knows what's going on. And so she decides to go up and see the chief. And Chief is like, on the phone, right? He's getting real angry. He's real pissed off about something. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. This is my hospital, not your jurisdiction. Blah, blah, blah. And he's like so pissed off that he leaves the room.
Yeah.
And so Henrietta's just like, well, this guy seems a bit suspicious. And I forgot to mention, earlier when she's talking with the patient says, you don't believe me. I know you don't believe me that Chief is, he's in love with me and he can't let me go. Is, first drawer on his right. The code is, 634.
Oh, so she's in the room now. She goes to the drawer, 634.
634.
Pops open.
She pops open. She sees all these letters.
Oh.
Stacks and stacks of letters. Love letters, even. All with his initials. His initial is, it's DB. That's his initial, if you were wondering. All addressed to my lovely Maria.
Oh.
And so she's like, oh my god, he is in love with her. He has to be, because why else would he be addressing Maria in these love letters?
Yeah.
It's very odd. They're just so... The love letters are old. They're like yellowed paper, That's like, they've been here a while. And so she's a little like, what is that? what is that about? Very odd. Very, very odd. And she, like, as she's, discovering it, she closes the thing. He comes in, he's like, sorry about that, Henrietta. I had to talk with the shareholders. They have a few more notes for us. But, I gotta remind them that this is our hospital. And he's got scotch like this. He's talking like this.
Sound effects here with the ice.
Yeah. I think that I just realized that would be a good character thing if he was like always drinking. Yeah. He was never drunk, but he was always drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, we gotta remind them that we run this hospital, not them. They're allowed to recommend treatments. They're not allowed to demand them. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe setting up some further things, like about the shareholders and Length Pharmaceuticals. Ooh. So we haven't even gotten to our third plot line yet.
No, we haven't.
No.
I'm excited.
And so she's got these letters. She doesn't have them, but she remembers them. And she's like able to write down what was said so she can like look through it and like see if there's anything she's missing. But before she's able to do that, she's just like ducks out. Sorry to bother you, Chief. You're 100% right. Those pesky shareholders, haha. And she leaves. We get more shots of her being watched.
Yeah.
This strange presence watching her, and she looks around, she darts around, her eyes, get a little wild. She's like, what? Her brain becomes foggy.
Oh, we could have a cool shot where it's like the shot from the vent is looking at her. That's where we're looking at her from. And then she'll turn her head, look straight at the camera, and as soon as her eyes make contact, that's when we cut to another angle.
Yeah.
And then she's looking at it, and then she continues on.
Yeah. Dutch angles. Whoa. She sits down. She's not feeling great, but she's like, I gotta investigate. I think that my chief is in love with one of my patients. I don't know what's going on. So she's like, I need to go down. I need to talk to Maria, because I believe her now. She's 100%.
Yeah, she's telling the truth.
Yeah. So she's like, she believes Maria 100%. She, runs down. She's got to go see her. Doctors carting her. Not doctors, nurses carting her away from her cell. Jeremiah is one of the nurses, and he's like, don't look at it. Like, this isn't good. This is bad. She's your patient. You care about her. You don't want to. Maria takes back the curtain.
Yeah. She's dead.
She's not dead. She's like
she's alive.
She's in a state, but she's taken. This is a self-harm situation.
Oh.
She was able to escape her cell.
Oh no.
And she went and got into the biomedical waste and just started stabbing herself with needles all over the place.
Jeez.
Like dirty needles all over the place. It's a real gnarly scene. Cut to...
Or was she stabbed with needles?
That's what Henrietta's thinking.
It was the chief.
Yeah. Maybe.
Even though he couldn't have, because he was with her.
Exactly. Henrietta's like, but it couldn't have been the chief. He was with me the whole time. He couldn't have known that fast that I had seen his letter. What is this? So, seemingly she has no way to explain why this girl, stabbed herself so many times. Yeah. But she doesn't want to confront the chief just yet, because her only piece of evidence is
the letters.
Some letters that she wasn't allowed to read because they're personal, right? And so she decides, well, I can't do anything about this right now. I have to wait until Maria wakes up, because she's in like a medically induced coma, to allow herself to heal, right? We see her in the hospital, and now she's in the nice wing, right?
Yeah.
She's been moved because that's got all the important stuff. And in the nicer wing, Henrietta still feels like a bit of a tinge of this malevolence, but it's less so. And she sees all these people walking around this nice wing. This is the first time she's been in it. I think this is episode
since her interview.
Yeah, since her interview. And she notices everyone's drinking bottled water. Like, nobody, there's a whole bunch of jugs of water that are out with ice, and they're filled up at the sink. Nobody's drinking out of any of them. They're all bottled water. So she's just like a little, that's
weird.
That's odd, because we don't have bottled water, right? Like, over in our side of the institute, we don't have, it's all sink water, it's whatever. Odd, that's odd, but I can't focus on this right now. I have to wait until my patient's healed up. And so she decides to, while she's waiting with her comatose patients, to go to the library, because it's an extensive library, old school medical wing style, and get out a bunch of newspapers from the years that Stevenson is saying that her grandmother was killed.
Oh, so she's going
30s.
back to that.
Yeah, exactly. So she's like, well, I have to do something, right? And so she begins going through, these newspapers, and she finds out that there was this circus that came through years and years ago.
Love the circus.
Gypsy circus freak kind of circus, right?
Okay.
And this is the 30s, and we could do like a black and white or like a, monotone flashback to this. And it was this pseudo-family of circus freaks who all lived together and performed together until one of their own was accused of raping a local girl.
Okay.
Right? And like this, it was such an outrage that he was killed by the town.
Okay.
It's vigilante justice, mob justice. He was hung
And we got arrested,
by the
and then
town.
the town charged the jail.
Exactly.
Was that, what's it called? How to Kill a Mockingbird
Yeah,
style.
I was gonna say Mockingbird style.
Yeah. They charged the jail. Hang him.
No Atticus Finch there to save him.
Nope.
And so yeah, she charges. They charge the jail. They kill him, and he raped this girl, and all of his friends, his family, are outraged. They're absolutely outraged.
Because they don't think he did it.
They're adamant that he didn't do it. That he wasn't. He would never hurt that girl. He's a good boy. Blah 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 blah.
He loved her.
He loved her.
Or they think it's a Romeo and Juliet story.
Well,
And-
maybe we could see. And so, because they're so adamant, this was the 30s. They were all committed
Yeah.
to this asylum, the Hargrove
Oh.
Institute.
All the family members?
All the family, because they're all
pretty
freaks.
weird.
They're
Yeah.
all freaks. They're all
Yeah.
circus freaks, and so the whole town determined that they were like in on it. This
Yeah,
is
they
a
think
ring.
they're all part of it. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, there's a little bit of research, Henrietta, she's like in the library, catacombs, like Gandalf in that one scene. She's like got all these papers,
Yeah,
all
searching
this stuff.
through, finds out that is the One Ring.
Exactly. It's the one ring to rule the Hargrove Institute? Ooh.
Yep, that's what she did.
Yeah, she's looking through, and she figures out that the mother of the boy who was killed, the ringleader of this room, of this circus, troupe,
Yeah.
her room was Henrietta's room.
Oh.
And she realized that, she's able to go forward a few years, maybe a decade or so, in the newspapers, and there's a breakout at the of the asylum. A breakout, it's a big thing. Lots of people find it, and they're freaked out, whatever, And turns out this person, the freak, the circus freak who escaped, he went to a local woman's house and shot her with a shotgun. And then shot himself with a shotgun. The only lone survivor of this horrible murder-suicide situation was the girl's father. Mrs. Stevenson's great-grandfather.
Oh, so this is the killing instant.
Exactly.
That got her upset in the first place. Okay.
And so, it's like, whoa.
So she's afraid because this is, people have gotten out before and killed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
okay. She thinks it's gonna happen again.
Mrs. Stevenson, Miss Stevenson, she was, raised to believe that these freaks had escaped and killed her grandmother.
Yeah.
And it's like, these freaks. Her great-grandfather was always very adamant that these freaks, and her mother as well,
Yeah.
they are not to be trusted. They're filthy, degenerate animals. They should be put down, right?
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. And so she, you know, obviously believes this, and Henrietta's beginning to put the pieces together. That's like, oh, well, this is very, you know, that this makes sense, blah, 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 but why, you know, what happened to the girl that was raped, right?
Yeah.
That was the whole thing, you know. And so she's able, through investigation, maybe this is happening over 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I think if we all did it in 1 episode, it'd
be a lot.
Be a bit too much. She, you know, she's able to figure out, she goes back to her room and she tears up the carpet. There's carpeting down, or maybe a veneer on the floor. She tears it up. And she finds these, or she tears up, like, not the whole carpet, just like a section.
Yeah.
And she finds these letters.
In her room?
In her room. Because
Okay.
it was the mother's room.
Oh, okay.
It was the mother's letters that she was writing to her son, who was killed.
Yeah.
Just like these post-mortem letters to her son. And it's begins to put the pieces together.
So you're talking about Maria's room?
Henrietta's room.
So Henrietta's room. Oh, I thought you said Maria's room is the same as the mother's room.
No,
it's Henrietta's office is the same as.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
It's like an office room.
Yeah,
So,
gotcha. Because
yeah.
her was a cell and now it's a. Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry that wasn't clear, folks.
Well, you probably said it. I just didn't pay attention.
That's fine too. It's either or. So she finds these letters to her post-mortem son, and, you know, she's adamant that she didn't, you know, that her boy was perfect and he didn't hurt anyone, and it's a blah, 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 you know, all this stuff. And so Henrietta's like, well, there's something else here. I know that there's something else here. I just can't figure out what it is. And so she teams up with Jeremiah, because Jeremiah's been here a little bit longer than her. He knows a little bit more about the place than her. They team up. They're, you know, gabbing, talking about shit, explaining the mystery thus far. And the mystery being Maria in the hospital because Chief is in love with her. And this gypsy family is connected to the protests in some way.
Yeah.
So they have to figure out what's going on. And through meticulous investigation, they are able to discover that the girl who was raped was in fact the woman who was murdered.
Oh,
Mrs.
okay.
Stevenson.
It's the same person.
It's the same person.
Okay.
And in fact, the freak who was killed by mob justice was not the rapist. He was not the person who had sex with her.
Oh, it was like another brother.
It was his twin brother.
Oh. So
And-
the guy that shot the girl was the girl that was the guy that raped her.
And so yeah, exactly. And that's what they think. They're like, oh, it was a mistaken identity situation. So they go to Mrs. Stevenson.
And that's why she said her son was innocent, because it was that son.
Well, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Because Miss Stevenson, like, she has a conversation. They start talking, and she's, you know, she's not, like, sympathetic towards these people because she believes them to be facilitating the freakening. But she also is like, well, if I get them on my side, if they learn the whole truth of my family's, you know, dark past, then they'll help me
Yeah.
kick these people out, right? And so she allows them to look through their own personal families, you know, histories. And they're able to, in the back corner of some office in the middle of town, they're able to find this diary, you know, written by Stevenson's grandmother, the woman who was killed. Turns out, she wasn't raped at all. It was a consensual story of love and loss.
Ah, Romeo and Juliet.
Exactly, but her father was not, he wasn't cool.
Didn't like this circus
Didn't like
boy.
him. Didn't like the circus boy.
Mm-hmm.
But
who does like circus boys?
nobody likes circus boys. So he had him killed.
Yeah, I would do it too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Turns out the Stevenson's grandmother was pregnant. She got pregnant via the circus boy.
Oh.
And she had the child out of wedlock and was like, you know, it was a big scandal, but she was able to, you know, her father married her off very quickly and, you know, didn't have to worry about it. Whatever. But years later, the father of her child escapes from the mental asylum. and he comes to see her because he never stopped loving her.
Yeah.
And she never stopped loving him.
Oh.
And his freakness, his mutation, the thing that makes him a circus freak, is that they find this out. It's not in any of the newspapers, not in any of the autopsy reports or anything. His mutation was that he had the seal hands.
Oh.
Like he was born without arms. He was born with hands coming out of his shoulders.
Yeah.
And you want to know what that makes really hard to do? Hold a shotgun.
Oh, so it doesn't make any sense.
The father, they're able to figure this out from the diary.
Oh, shit.
The father killed the freak and his own daughter to maintain the family, name. Because she was like, I'm an adult now, I love him, and I'm gonna get my child, I'm gonna get my daughter, and we're gonna, be happily ever after.
If we're seeing like a flashback though,
Yeah.
like I feel like it's hard to justify a father killing his daughter. So maybe she jumps in front of the shot.
Oh yeah, maybe he jumps.
And then in anger he shoots him again.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't see it as he killed his daughter. He sees it as that guy killed his daughter.
Yeah, that makes more sense. And so they're like, they're discovering all.
Or maybe
of
there's
this.
like a fight, like they're because like jumping in front of a shotgun is probably pretty hard. So maybe they're fighting with the weapons,
yeah.
Mr. Seal Arm and him, and then the girl jumps in as well. And he tries to like swing the gun and hit the guy in the face, and he accidentally fires and shoots his daughter.
Shoots his daughter square in the chest.
Yeah.
And her sucking chest wound is like blood's pouring out as.
Yeah,
as
we have this great scene where like the father starts crying because he just shot his daughter, but he's angry, and the seal arm circus freak like goes to her and he's like kneeling over and he's like trying to get her last words and like telling her he loves her. And the father's like, you did this, and he's like, what? No, you shot her. He's like, you did this, and then he shoots.
Yeah.
Bang. It's like really brutal too, like gets flung against the wall from the shot.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah,
and then
really bloody Tarantino style.
And then he puts on his police officer's cap. And he, starts writing down the report of what happened.
Yeah,
the father did. So, and this is like an intergenerational thing. This was years and years
Deep
ago.
family secret. Right
exactly.
there.
And so Henrietta, like, kind of exhausted from this information, she goes back to her room and she's worried. She's kind of getting insomnia from not being able to sleep.
Yeah.
Because of the horrible nightmares. And so she decides, well, these letters were hidden in this room. Maybe there's more hidden in this room. And she starts tearing up the veneer of the floor.
Yeah.
And she sees this enormous pentagram drawn on the thing. Because one thing gypsies know how to do, it's how to put a curse on people. And so after decades of being trapped in this insane asylum, the mother of her two dead sons, after her found out both her sons were killed by this town, she decides, I'm going to put a curse on this place. I'm going to curse the spirits of this town and curse the spirits of the people who live here with my own vengeful family. My sons will never leave this town alone until they are given a proper burial, until they're given proper, treated with the respect that they deserve, because they're good boys.
Oh, she's Russian?
No, she's not Russian. She's just.
There's very much a Russian accent. I don't know if you're trying to do like Romanian or something.
Yeah,
but
she could be Romanian. Whatever.
I mean, that would somewhat make sense.
Yeah. And so, right now we've got two conspiracies happening at the same time in this hospital. We have evil chief doctor and the crazy protests. Yeah. Gypsy curse. And so right now we're gonna move back to the chief doctor.
Okay.
And she's finally Maria's finally woken up out of her medically induced coma, and Chief is there. Yeah. And she, maybe he was there once before when she was asleep, and like Henrietta came in to see her, patient, and
Chief was like, "Oh, I was just checking up on her."
No, she like sees him, but like turns away so he doesn't see her, and he like speaks very lovingly to her and like caresses her face and everything. Not in the way that you might speak to someone you're in love with, but rather the way you speak to someone that you love. Mm-hmm. Like a cousin or
it's his daughter.
Child. So, she confronts him. Yeah. Maria and Henrietta confront the chief in the hospital room with this, maybe with the nurse Jeremiah watching And they're like, why, you're manipulating her, you injected her with all these drugs to keep her quiet, but I know the truth. You've been keeping her here against her will and against the will of the better, medical board. Bureau, whatever. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She doesn't deserve to be here. She, deserves to be in a minimum security facility or whatever. And Chief he laughs, not like a haha you idiot way, but in more of just like a melancholy sort of, this is what she's been saying again.
Yeah.
Turns out the letters marked to Maria were to her mother. Maria is not her name.
Yeah.
She, his daughter, you were right, it is the Chief's daughter. She had this horrific mental break after her own mother was killed on the property of the Hargrove Institute.
Yeah.
By one of the patients. And that's why Chief became such a, determined and hardy leader of this, place. Because they moved there. Chief and Maria and his daughter, let's call her Marianne, which is Maria's actual name, is Marianne. They moved there so he could be a regular doctor. And while there, one of the patients escaped, presumably because of his own incompetence, right? Let's, tie it all back to him. And killed his wife, and that led to his daughter having like a severe mental break. And she didn't actually kill her husband or her children. That's just what she tells people that she did. Because, that's what she has in her mind. And she's determined, she's deluded herself into believing she doesn't know this doctor, this Chief man. It's just some guy that's fallen in love with her, when in actuality she is his own daughter. And that's why she gets treated better than everyone else. That's why he's, gets her to the special wing and all this stuff. And that's why he's so determined to maintain his own practices of medicine rather than the, what's been informed by the board.
Yeah.
And so that's that mystery solved. And Maria, she kind of has this moment of realization where she's like, I'm Marianne and that's my dad. But her brain can't kind of comprehend that such a mental whiplash. So she just falls back into her own, her personal, cynical persona, smoking cigarettes and just being like,
It's all an act, yeah.
It's all an act that she can't get away from. Mm-hmm. And so Henrietta leaves Chief to be with his daughter and to, ponder the sadness of what has happened. And she goes to sleep in her room. She, has put the carpet back over the curse. And she's like, well, I need to, if it's not the doctor, if it's not Chief, he's not doing this crazy malevolence. He's not making these patients nuts. He's not a bad guy. Maybe it is a gypsy curse. Like, she was super
against that, but now it's like, okay, maybe this is possible.
I mean, who knows? I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff here that I just don't get. I think it's odd. And she, decides, she goes to sleep. She has these horrific nightmares that are just, again, she's beginning to think that they're a bit more prophetic than normal. Dreams. And so she decides, I've got to go find where the two sons were killed, because they're both buried in separate places. And so they're able to figure out where the first guy who was killed by mob justice, right? Like, there's a picture of him.
Yeah.
Hung or something. Like, similar to those really horrible pictures from the 40s of Klansmen and stuff, right? Like a picture of him hanging from a tree. And Jeremiah and her are able to figure out where the tree is and, find him, and they, dig up his body, and they go over and they go to the old patient's burial ground, and they, after years, they're able to notice that the other brother, the actual father of the child, was, he had gold teeth. And so they don't know how to find him because he's buried in an unmarked grave, and then they figure out metal detector, They're able to find
so they
him.
get him,
Yeah, they get the mother, the 2 brothers, right? And they wrap them up in a nice way. And maybe the curse can be like only when they are returned to family shall the curse be lifted or something.
Yeah.
More specific. So Henrietta wraps up the 3 bodies and is able to take them to the mother. Or not to the mother, to Stevenson. And Stevenson, she won't believe that this is the case.
That this is actually her family.
These are your, this is your grandfather, this is your granduncle, and this is your great-grandmother. And she's like, no, I would never, I'm not related to these freaks, right? Blobbity bloobity. Until her mother, Miss Stevenson's mother, who's like at this point an old decrepit woman, chimes in and she says, I know this is the case. This is true. This is real. Don't believe him? We'll do a DNA test. And so you can do a DNA test on bones.
Yeah.
And they do a DNA test and find out that they're blood relatives.
They're related, yeah.
And this, this has cured the curse. Seemingly, this has cured the curse.
Mm-hmm.
And Henrietta walks, Stevenson is very, she's out of it, but she said, we'll leave the hospital alone. Okay, just get out. I need to process what you just told me. My entire life is a lie. That my great-grandfather, who I worshipped as like a god amongst men, turns out he's a horrible man who shot his own daughter and framed 2 men.
Pretty messed up stuff.
For murder. Pretty bad stuff. And so she goes, Henrietta's happy. She's like, well, the curse is lifted. Everything will be good. She walks onto the campus and it's like, it's nice, it's sunny. The patients aren't all like, they're chasing butterflies and being like kind of movie crazy, but they're like not being violent or cruel or anything. And so she just starts, she starts feeling good. And she's like, well, the nightmares will go away now. The curse is lifted, the nightmares will go away. Mm-hmm. And so she goes to sleep. Horrible nightmares. Worse than ever before. Truly horrific. And it's like each image of the nightmare, something's crawling out of the pipes. Like there's something crawling out of like tentacles or gas or like a giant monster made out of tongues. Like something freaky's coming out of the pipes. And she's like, well, my dreams have not led me wrong so far. We'll figure out what it is. It's something in the water. There has to be something in the water. And so she goes and finds the only person in this campus that has a significant understanding of pharmaceuticals that she can seemingly trust.
Dr. Length.
Dr. Length. And Dr. Length, she hasn't really interacted with him thus far in the show, and she's like, oh, he's just gonna be an asshole. Turns out he's a really nice guy. Like, he's like, you think something, because my father's been accused of lots of horrible, like, not putting patients' health first, and he's actually, like, Dr. Length is really thoughtful in that he's like, I know pharmaceutical companies will do whatever they can to, protect their bottom, line. What do you need my help with? And so they spend days, hours, let's say, not days, collecting various, things from the, not things, samples of the water, of the groundwater. Yeah. Length is able to infiltrate the nicer wing of the hospital, and he he pretends that he's like coming to his father on his knees, groveling, being like, I want a job, I hate working at this hospital, I want a job working with you, sign me up, blobbity bloobity, right? And his dad's super excited. He goes, he gets him all of his details, and he's like, well, you're my son, you're gonna be the top of the list, you get the highest access. And so he, the pharmaceutical guy, Professor Length, Dick Length, is not thinking that his son's gonna betray him. Yes. But he actually is, and he starts he and Henrietta are pouring through this data, and it's hundreds and hundreds of documents and pages, and she's looking through a microscope. They can't find anything. And Henrietta and Dr. Length, Huey, are both they're getting crazier and crazier. Their eyes are bloodshot. This is like episode 10. Yeah. Their eyes are bloodshot. They're super suspicious of everything. There's conspiratorial, all this stuff. They're like, there has to be something. There has to be something. And they're like looking through its days. There's a whole montage of them just like sitting in this room, and they go to the bathroom and they drink the water from the thing, and they eat these crackers or whatever that they're serving on plates or whatever, basically living like a patient. And they aren't able to find anything until one day, just like they're getting up and they're like, we gotta go, I don't need sleep, I need answers, sort of a meme, right? Mm-hmm. And they look at each other and they're both, blood starts coming down her nose. Henrietta, she starts bleeding out of the nose. And then Huey looks over, he's like, what? He falls over. She falls over. They're both blackout, black. Hours, days later, they awake in the nice section of the hospital, right? They're in hospital beds. They're in IVs next to each other. Jeremiah's there, and he's like, hey, buddy, you feeling all right? Yeah, what's in the water? There's some Bubba. There's nothing in the water. Okay, pal? There was lead in the pipes. There's lead in the paint. You've been breathing and drinking lead for the past 6 weeks. There's no curse. We found your notes. There's no curse. The doctors aren't trying to treat you different. There's nothing, no conspiracy. You've been drinking lead for the last 6 weeks. So it turns out this malevolent force that she's been feeling, these nightmares, her paranoid, delusions, have all been a result of lead poisoning. She just managed to solve a whole bunch of familial issues by accident.
But it was all the lead poisoning.
It was nothing, it had nothing to do with magic. There was no curses. There's no grand conspiracy. And we look back at like different shots from previous issues or from previous episodes. People were drinking the tap water in the nicer building. She just imagined that they were all drinking out of bottles, It's like there's a whole bunch of shit that, we'll go back and show, and it's like, that's just not what was happening. You were losing your mind because of lead poisoning. Yeah,
so it's only lead poisoning in the old building.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Exactly.
Maybe that's why the chief is always drinking alcohol, because,
that makes sense.
Don't have to worry about that. Maybe, like, they even mentioned it to her in the beginning. It's just, like, it's just blocked out somehow or something.
Yeah.
Like she wasn't paying attention. Mm-hmm. It was, like, in her intro packet. She missed it.
Yeah.
I like that. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good reveal. It's fun.
Yeah. Hargrove Institute.
That's the name of the show?
Yeah.
Hargrove Institute. I liked it. Good show.
Yeah. I thought it was a little spooky, a little scary.
Spooky.
There's a whole bunch of mysteries. I love a mystery.
Mm-hmm. I love lots of mysteries.
And I love
the reveal too.
A big, weird, dumb reveal at the end where it's actually
all fake.
You're a lunatic. It's all fake.
Yep.
Yeah.
No big conspiracy. It's all just in your head.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles Long. With me has always been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jake Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give us a like, a follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat. And remember, we will be here next week with a brand new television series for you to imagine with your beautiful brains.
Hell yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.